All right, our next speaker to finish off this session is Lucetta Zaytoun, and she's a life and leadership coach, an international speaker, and a best-selling author. Lucetta is an expert at pushing past fear, and today she will help you push past yours. Warm welcome to Lucetta Zaytoun.
Hello. I do want to talk to you about pushing past fears today, but hey, I just realized you pushed past fears already just to be at this event. Let's give yourselves a hand. All right. So, after I raised 6 children and launched them out into the world, a life smack hit. I discovered that my husband had fallen in love with another woman. Oh my gosh, I just literally hit the floor and curled up in the fetal position for about 6 months. Like all those years of raising those kids, I didn't earn a single penny. I didn't hold anything back for myself. I didn't know who I was, not as a spouse or a mother. I just freaked out. And then after about 6 months, I had this aha moment in the middle of the night, and I bolted upright, and I was like, wait a minute. I don't have to stay here. The kids are grown and gone. I can't heal in this town. I've got to get away from here and figure out who I am, give myself some time to heal, and decide what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And that led me to put everything I owned in storage, sell my car, shut down my phone, and travel in developing countries by myself for a year. And while I was out there, the craziest things happened. I got French kissed by a giraffe. I fell in love with Africa. I got abducted. I ate a tarantula in Cambodia. Like all these crazy things happened. But while I was out there, I had to push past every fear I could ever imagine, and maybe a lot of every human fear that could happen. So this is what I know. Fear is stupid 98% of the time. And here's why. Because fear was designed for us in the primal days, and it was for survival. It was for fight or flight, right? But in our culture nowadays, that may only come up in our life maybe 2% of the time in our entire life. So the other 98% is senseless, and here's why. Because if you are worried or anxious or fearful, it's in the future. It hasn't even happened yet. And if it hasn't happened yet, then we're making up a story. And as human beings, we always go to worst case scenario. It's just what we do. We live in a fear-based society. But the thing is, statistically, worst case scenario almost never happens. So what if you were able to instead stop yourself and go, wait a minute, what is the story I'm making up? And rewrite that story into a better scenario. Because if not, if you're living in that fear, you're going to be living with the cortisol, which is the worry hormone, and that is bad for your body. And if you rewrite that story, who knows, you could be living in adrenaline. Because here's the thing. Fear and excitement physiologically manifest in the body exactly the same. So your body doesn't know whether you're excited or afraid until your brain tells it. So rewrite that story and then write it into a more positive and live in that energy. And that will help you say yes to whatever it is, whatever that goal is or any of that. So that's the first thing. I'm going to give you 3 tangible ways to push past fear. That's the first one, is stop yourself and rewrite that story. The second one is check your motivation. Now, I'm going to give you an example of this because I want you to check it and see whether you are internally motivated or externally motivated. And I'll give you an example that might not make a lot of sense right now. But while I was out on that trip, after I had volunteered in Tanzania, I just started traveling every day or every couple of days and staying in hostels with my pack. And I got off a bus in South Africa down on the coast and at a place called Storms River. And one other young man got off the bus with me. And we were the only ones in the hostel because it was off season. And he came in and he shakes my hand. He goes, "Hi, I'm from Germany. I'm Julian." And I go, "Oh, my daughter's name is Julian. She's 24. And he goes, "I'm 24. And I went, "Wow, must have been a really great year." And then he goes, "Are you going to do it? Are you going to jump?" And I was like, "No, I am deathly afraid of heights. No, there's no way I'm going to jump." And he goes, "Why not? It's the world's highest bungee bridge. How can you pass this up?" I was like, "Easy. There's no way this is going to happen." And then he looked up at me with those eyes, and something happened to me that had not happened in many, many months. I kicked into mother mode. And I said, "Okay, I'll go with him as far as I can. But that's it. There's no way I'm jumping." But as we were getting there and we were rounding the corner to walk out to the bridge to the place of the jump, we discovered there was a wire cage that they had stuck to the base of the side of the bridge. And walking across this wire cage, you could see down all 213 meters, which is equivalent to a 60-story building. And I was freaking out. I was like, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." I thought I was going to faint. Thought I was going to throw up. So I put my hands over here like horse, blinders at a race, willed myself only to look forward. And in that moment, I had an aha moment. I remembered something I had not remembered since I was 5 years old. And this was a reoccurring dream that I always had. And it was a dream of flying over mountains and houses and trees. And then I suddenly remembered, oh my gosh, I loved it. And this is my one and only ever true opportunity to fly. And I decided in that moment I was going to do it. And when I got up there, they called my number first, of course. And I got up there and I flew, and I feel like I have been flying ever since. So the reason that I share this with you is because it was externally motivated to begin with, but then in that moment, it became mine. It became internally motivated. So check your motivation. Are you doing this because someone else wants you to do it, or because society says you should do it? Is it yours or not? Because when it becomes yours, a lot of the fear drops away. It's amazing. I'm not even afraid of heights anymore. It's awesome. So that's the second one, is check your motivation. The third one is, because you are living and breathing and here today, whatever happens, you're going to handle it. Because think of all the things that you've been through, all the tragedies and the awful things and the weird things that you have dealt with already. Because you're very capable and resourceful and you figure it out. So even if you do rewrite that story and something goes awry, you're going to handle it. Because that's what we do. So that's the third thing. So the first one is stop yourself and say, what's the story I'm making up? The second one is check your motivation. Is this really mine or not? The third one is that you trust yourself, because you're going to handle it. It's going to be fine. You're going to figure it out. Just think back to all those things you've already made it through. You can do it. You're going to do it. So, this is one of the things I want to say to you, is that courage is the fastest way to self-confidence. So if you do something that makes you a little scared and you get up there, you're like, yeah, I did that. And that will bring up your self-confidence. The next thing is you are the only person who wakes up every day and lives your life. So why not live it in a way that you love? Even if you're married or you have kids or whatever, it's still your life. Make it happen for you. And here's the important thing I want to leave you with. Make fear afraid of you. Thank you.
I absolutely love Lucetta's talk, especially because she grounded really her understanding of courage in life experience and kind of showed all of us that if she can do it, we can do it. And so I really love the fact that we don't have to be slaves to fear, but we can actually make fear afraid of us.
Lucetta has so much enthusiasm, and her talk had such a purpose. And as she spoke, she brought you in and you took those travels with her. And I felt like I was on that bridge with her. I'm not sure I wanted to jump, but I was with her the whole time. It was just a really good talk, and she touched the audience so deeply.
With Lucetta's experience, I'll bet she could tell us stories all day. She has got some amazing stories to tell. And I love that she finished us off with seeing courage as our greatest way to build our own self-confidence. She's got some great stories, and she made every single one of them touch.